Hi everyone. So this week, of course, we know our question is discussing the assessing and the teaching in our standards-based environment, and whether or not that curbs teacher creativity. So what I did was I went over to the PBS website, which I was really excited about because I've heard about it, but I've never actually utilized it. So I went ahead and logged in, created an account um, using my school email, and I'm creating or am now going to be able to use it with my students, which I'm very excited about. So the lesson that I went into is called painting, and what I did is I looked up. I started to browse by standard, and then I changed my mind and went and did a search. And all I did was I clicked over here, went on first grade, and I did for subject, I did the English language arts and literacy, and then I just did all types. And it just came up with a bunch of different choices, and this was one of them. Which in teaching first grade, I have students who even to this day, we're halfway through the school year, first grade, are still really struggling with the concept of fiction versus nonfiction. So that's what this lesson is really discussing and giving students the opportunity to explore. So I went ahead and opened this up just to see what it was about. And at first I thought, okay, like this has a lot of text. But then after going through the lesson, realized that this is geared towards parents, but as an educator, we could definitely use this. And it makes me think about I use a science curriculum that's kind of similar to this, and where we get lessons like this already set up, and then you just click through, and it's really engaging and fun. So basically, the kids just go through and they're just basically get the definitions. You get to watch the little video which goes with it, which I'm not going to click on for you. If you want to explore it, you can. So then this is a great opportunity for students to discuss. So the way I picture this is we would do this at the whole class at the carpet. So I'd present this up at the board for everyone to see, and this would give them the opportunity to discuss what they think. And because most of my students can't read, what I would do is I'd pose this question first and give them the opportunity to talk about it, and then I would talk about the definitions, clicking on these little links to give a more detailed definition of each one of those words, and then show them the pictures and what to expect. I think with these, because I have a lot of EL learners, I would look into finding pictures to go with them. Like obviously a glossary, I would have a textbook of some kind sitting there for my students to look at, to give them that visual connection. And then it gives them this video, and then again, I'm not going to show it. You can kind of guess if it's fiction or nonfiction. So then you'd pose this question, and it's really nice because I like this. It gives you again the definition of each, the fiction and the nonfiction, along with the clue. And so I actually already typed this in because I wanted to test it out and see what it would look like on my own. But I would give them, we would talk about this as a group, and I would type it in. And I really like that feedback. If you go back to our textbook, Assessing the Online Learner, and look at, it's on page 19, the learning pyramid. I feel like we're touching a lot of those pieces in that pyramid. It's a lecture, a little bit of lecturing. There's some reading involved, which some of my higher kids could read some of the text that's in this presentation. And then obviously audio video. The demonstration piece I would have to add at the end. I'm just going to go through this while I'm talking about the pyramid. So it continues on and does the nonfiction as well, and we would type in our answer together. And I put this as a complete sentence. Oops, forgot the period there. But I would put it as a complete sentence to continue to discuss that skill that we're working on in first grade. So then it just has them looking at these other pieces. Again, this is kind of like if you're going back to that pyramid, there's the 50% group discussion. That's what I really appreciate about this lesson is there's opportunity for students to talk and discuss. And then, so it just goes through. This is really cute too. It gives them opportunity to kind of look at the pages and say, okay, we would discuss about it again, more discussion, and this is a fiction because look at the illustrations that you have. And I'm kind of meeting my minutes here, but that's fine. I'm just going to keep going. So, in this last piece is an actual creation. And honestly, for me, I would allow my students to do this where they would click on the visualize and they would create their own book cover. And then once they're finished with that, then they could or I would show them how to do that, and then we would talk about it on the next page. It talks about is this fiction or nonfiction, the book cover that you created, and then they could talk about it. So, saying all that, what I would then do is I would take this whole thing after we went over it together as whole class. I would then give them the opportunity to do it on their own, do the lesson on their own. They could do it with a partner to continue that group collaboration, that group discussion, pairing some higher kids with some lower kids for the reading pieces. So I would add that to my Google Classroom, giving them the opportunity to go in and explore. And so that assessment piece at the end would be them creating their own book cover and then sharing with a partner or with a small group if they created a fiction or a nonfiction cover page. I think to extend this, though, I would also that actually, and I was going to say that actually touches into the 90% in the learning pyramid. We want 90% of them teaching others. I really wanted to talk about that because they end up then talking about their creation, their cover page, and that's um, they're teaching others why it's fiction or why it's nonfiction. But I think to extend this lesson, to kind of go back to the question of are we curbing our creativity, I think I would have to continue and add more to this where maybe I would give them a book for them to actually create, like create a whole nonfiction text or create a whole fiction text. So they could use the design that they created using their Google Classroom. They could use that as their design for their cover and then maybe give them the opportunity to now make the story to go with their cover. So really great lesson. I really think this is fun, and I'm definitely going to be using it in my classroom because they would really enjoy it. Sorry I went over in my time, but I really don't think that using standards based and having that environment, I really don't think that's curbing our creativity as educators. I think we still need to think outside the box, even though I know some of us are kind of restricted in our teaching because the district, puts down so many things for us to do, but I really believe that we can still continue to be creative and add things to activities so that students can have a more engaging, fulfilling lesson and then are able to demonstrate their understanding through a very valid assessment. So that's it.